Welcome to the MusicWideOpen podcast
The place for an honest and thought-provoking conversation
about music,
business,
life,
technology,
and the future,
for curious music enthusiasts.
and musicians seeking personal growth. I'm Ingolf Wunder.
And I am Paulina Wunder. All of us love to receive opportunities from life. The prospect of these opportunities keeps us in a hopeful mood, believing that good things will come to us and eventually will improve our lives, just like that. But there is a thing. To seize most opportunities, you need to be prepared so that you can make the most of them. And if they don't come, you should be willing to create them by yourself. And this is where most people feel lost and helpless, letting so-called destiny take over and excuse them from taking action, from taking their lives into their own hands. Musicians are no different here. One could even provocatively say that the majority hope, at first, that their talent is enough, that it will be recognized and will lead them to lifelong satisfying chances. But life is not as simple as that. So let's dive into the subject of opportunities. Getting an opportunity or creating an opportunity. What, on average, is more difficult for musicians? What do you think?
Well, first of all, this definitely depends on the stage the musician is in. At the beginning, it might even feel harder to receive or get opportunities because most of the time it's not that straightforward to even get them. But down the line, it's definitely harder to create opportunities because you need a certain skill set in order to be able to see, let's see, the chances of where one can create something and what aligns well to your to your setting. And so I would definitely say creating is more difficult, although it might feel sometimes that receiving is also very difficult.
Musicians often start their professional life early, or one would say sometimes even very early, way before they are even able to create an opportunity by themselves, actually way before they are able to create anything. So the first opportunities are simply the ones that are coming to them, that they get.
Yes, I mean at least in that, many educational systems make sure that, in terms of in German-speaking area we call them Klassenabende, or like concerts of the professor that you're with or something. These are mostly the first opportunities you get to play, and then it goes from there that somebody hears you or you get another gig or stuff like this. So these things are pretty much woven into the system that you get these. Other things, of course, always it usually goes through private channels that somebody from the family has some contact that like in life, right?
That's true.
But the point is that you are always dependent on others, like when you're young. Very, very seldom a musician
That's
is
sort of implemented in the age factor.
Yeah, but I mean, even when you're like in your teens or something, it's very rare, I think, that people are really hands-on already and get the skill set already to, of course, dependent on the parents again, that
Exactly.
The parents give the skill set, right?
And their connections as well.
Of course, but so it's rare. That's the point. And the outcome is that you wait for opportunities instead of creating them. And let's do this thought experiment that if young people would have the skill set to spot creating opportunities early, then wow, that would be a different world.
Definitely. Well, first of all, this is not being taught, and this
Exactly.
is a pity here. But also, again, even when you get opportunities, like in your youth, what you have to be prepared for them. Because when one is very young or too young, one doesn't have the right experience, the right judgment, and doesn't know actually what these opportunities mean. So it's very easy to miss certain chances, isn't it?
Yes, and mainly it's because of, some things are kind of inevitable because, as you said, you cannot have the experience needed in order to really nail it from the start. And if people do, because some people do, then it's usually just something we call coincidence. There's no coincidence in life, but something that just, it aligns good, that the person doesn't even think about these things and does the right things. But usually it's performance pressure. Like that's something that people are usually not prepared for when they're young, and also they are not aware of how important resilience is and networking is actually.
Again, another thing that is not being taught.
Yeah.
That's true.
But one definitely has a high, learning curve. Everybody has, and it's such a common wisdom to say, yeah, you have to fall and then stand up. And this is, of course, definitely true. You don't succeed so many more times than you do succeed, and you have to make sure that the successes you have are outweighing the all the losses.
Well, and they are building up your character, then as well the ability to judge the opportunities that are coming and so on. So
yeah, so definitely, definitely, what's important is to have the right mentors. This is said so easily, but it's really important. Not only people that know what they're talking about, but that have the big picture and that also fit character-wise to you.
This is as well more in order to avoid first mistakes that one does. Yes. Especially, for example, if, let's say, your parents don't know much either about music or the environment, it's very easy to fall in a trap.
Yeah, and life has many of these. For everybody it will be something different though. The common denominator maybe is that it feels that due to the unpreparedness of many young musicians, they tend to leave their future to chance. Or at least it feels like this.
Exactly. This will as well talk about. I think maybe it's because it's an easier solution. Sometimes it is, or even most of the time.
Yeah, and of course you cannot forget that that musicians also have to spend a lot of time to just up their skills, to work on their alone the physical skills that you need to get your muscles ready, to get all the moves and everything. This is so much time that you sometimes it's hard to.
You simply don't think, right?
And you don't have the time to think most of the time. Definitely in my case, if you start late, you don't have at all. But even if you're very young, you're
just focused on practicing.
You know how life is. It's always, yes. It feels so quick and everything comes at the same time together. And then, yeah, it's hard.
Well, the emphasis on playing, obviously, because you need to get your skills under control so that you can get better, you can play better, you can perform better, you can learn as much as possible and be, in that sense, prepared for the future life. But at the same time, the schooling system doesn't put any emphasis on actually what's important for a musician as a human being as well, how to find himself or herself in this environment.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is that what you already touched upon, that if you're in the system, you not only hope that your talent is enough to make it and your skill is enough that you make it, but you actually made believe that this is the case. Just play well, just work your butt off, and at some point it will all go. Of course, at some point it will go if it's destined to go, but still you need to take action on top of your talent, and this is just a rule. Just people don't tell you that.
That is one thing. The other thing is that many people, and these are not only musicians, I would say majority of the population actually, they simply don't know what they really want. They actually don't ask themselves like a question: what do I really want? What do I dream of?
Absolutely, and this is should be part of every early education, not only music, to be guided what you really want.
Well, this sounds, of course, so silly, But this is so needed in order to make the opportunities coming to you, or even recognizing that something that is coming is an opportunity that you have to now use this or the other way, or to create as well.
Yeah, and that vision is the first thing, and then the second thing which comes immediately is visualization, so that you really have the focus, that you plan the steps, that you make it intentional. And then
plenty of people don't even know what it means to visualize something, like for real. You have some experience here because you are one of these people that actually they do visualize before things happen.
Well, I mean, here it's if one knows what the nature of reality really is. Not that I really know, but I think I'm deeper than other people in that topic. And if one understands that one is the king of his own personal reality, and that one has the power to actually change everything internally, then it's kind of easy, once you know it, to shape your internal world the way that you make yourself sort of believe that it already happened.
Yes, this is the part of this visualization. And I think, first of all, generally speaking, you need in life to have clarity about exactly what it is that you want to achieve or have. And it has to be very clear.
Yeah.
That is what is important to you, what you dream of, and it must be as detailed as possible. This is not me who invented that or said for the first time. Obviously, people who practice visualization do that on a regular basis. This includes us as well. But what I want to say here, I don't know if you remember, but I'm pretty sure you do. But I would like to recall here a situation we experienced. A few years ago, we had many conversations with young musicians. Young, it means in their 20s, and many conversations means close to 100, so quite something. And during these talks that we had, maybe not one-on-one, but one-on-two, because we were both present, we asked every one of them what their dream was, what they wanted to achieve. And most of their answers were, I don't know.
Generic.
No. I want to work in an orchestra. This is what majority said, actually. Not majority, I would say everybody. Then we always asked, if you remember, a follow-up question: which orchestra? And their answers were either, I don't know, any orchestra, or in the best case, I don't know, a good one, whatever a good one means. We were so surprised to realize that they didn't have a real detailed dream. Young people, and usually young people, one would think, have more concrete dreams or hopes, but we were proved the opposite. They were even surprised by the question. Like, they would like to ask us, what do you mean, which orchestra? Do you remember that? And the thing is, what I want to say, the thing is, if your dreams and hopes are basic, the life will bring you their basic realization.
Yeah, so it will bring you what you think of.
So in other words, or although it might sound a little bit brutal, if your dream is to get whatever, the life will most probably bring you whatever.
Exactly. So, you're talking about the vision, right? The vision has to be detailed. Because if you need, of course, persistence, you need self-confidence, you need to take risks and all these things. But
you have to work hard and so on.
But I mean, this is, of course, we say it so nonchalant, but it's of course
part of the
difficult
deal
to do that. Yeah, but once once you have a flawed vision, then all of these steps will take you to the flawed vision.
Yes, because you actually didn't think about it. So you have to fix your mind on something.
Yeah.
And it applies to both situations, whether you wait for the opportunities to come or want to create them. You need to know exactly what you want to create in order to take the right steps. This is exactly what you said,
Exactly.
and make it happen, or come as close as possible, right? Because things might not work out 100%, but 90%.
Yeah, and they always, you know, the life has its ways. So usually it brings you somewhere that you wouldn't have thought of when you started the journey, but it's then always something that's meant to be. If you take it like not only serious, but if you really visualize and have your vision as detailed as possible, doors open that you then just have to take because they're so good. But these doors would never open if you wouldn't make that detailed vision and go on that
plan
journey.
in a way.
Yeah.
That is, if you, especially if one puts that on paper, which
Yeah.
is more effective because actually you are then forced to
think
about it.
Mm.
Because when we give some general dream or plan, this is not even a plan if you say I would like this or that, but you actually don't put it on paper. Actually, it is very difficult to put something on paper. Then you sit down and then realize, like, okay, what am I doing here? I mean, it's ridiculous. But it's actually not. It's a great training.
No, it's not, yeah. Usually the first things you put on paper are ridiculous, but once you start thinking about it, it
makes sense. This is the first step for bringing any opportunities to you. And that also was, we should as well talk here about the musicians, because as we know in the past, musicians, that some of those are legends now in the classical music world, they also were very capable people in terms of creating opportunities for themselves.
I believe, I mean, we don't have that detailed records about the times of Mozart, Beethoven, etc. But one could assume that due to the fact that we as humans have in some ways, so I mean, especially in the esoteric realm or in the Eastern mindset, we have so much less knowledge than they had in the past. So common sense would say that people in 17 something would have even more kind of insights maybe to this visualization thing. I of course don't know that for sure, but they definitely thought about that too, and their lives definitely showed this, because you know, if we look at Mozart, I mean, he organized his subscription concerts with prepaid tickets. I mean, that's kind of cool. The Beethoven, you know, organized and funded his own concerts, premiere of 5th and 6th Symphony, for example. Liszt, of course, he was really the first one that created sort of a virtuoso brand, you know, having marketing people going to the next village before he came and stuff.
Well, yes, and then saying that the big Liszt is coming and making this sort of hype creating by himself, actually.
Exactly. Then of course you play well, and then it's
sort of
together,
it helps,
right?
but you're not the
as opposed to somebody like Chopin, who in many ways probably played better than Liszt, but wasn't that much of a marketing
person. Yes,
guy.
That's true.
Or Wagner. I mean, he built his own Festspielhaus. And secured funding from, what was it? I don't know, King Ludwig, whatever, like second. Then, or and also Wagner, for example, introduced this Gesamtkunstwerk, right? I mean, like the new concept in opera. The list is really endless. I mean, we have Rachmaninoff, who really had this dual career, composer and concert pianist. It was, of course, the right time to be concert pianist. Next to composing, and then of course the recording ages. Many artists embraced the opportunities that the technology just gave them, like Bernstein, with the televised TV was quite something back then. So
that was as well lucky, because they hit the time.
If there is something like luck, yes, but exactly. Definitely it always
but
goes.
They used, at least they used the opportunity.
Yeah, they created their, I mean, for themselves, they created it, right?
They were ready. This opportunity came in that sense, but...
Well, they looked at the trajectory, at the timelines, and then probably also for himself, he has to create that, because he needs to probably actively go there. Other people wouldn't, right?
Yes, you have to dare in that sense. And there are still many artists, musicians that actually they do start their own festivals, their concert series. They engage in all sorts of activities. But this is still, I would say, a minority.
Yeah.
And I have this feeling that most of musicians are simply scared of creating opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, scared. I don't think it's so much a musician thing. People are generally scared to go into the unknown.
That's true.
Because that's sort of always a little bit there. Because if you create something, you're usually going paths that are not taken so much, or at least in your time, weren't taken. They were not pre-prepared for you, right? You go new ways, and that's always risky.
Well, I would say that there is one big killer of that. It's called comfort zone. Because very, very many opportunities lie outside your comfort zone, unless you're very, very privileged, but most of the people are not. So the fact that many opportunities lie outside of your comfort zone, it's probably the biggest problem here. That's why many people will find more obstacles that excuse them from taking action rather than bracing themselves and facing the unknown that you mentioned. So facing what is outside their comfort zone, they will rather say, I can't, I don't have the power, I don't know how, it's too much for me. I've even heard many times this kind of thing from musicians. And this way one shuts oneself off from any kind of opportunity. In fact, you build up your inferiority complex, I would say even. And there is a saying that I really like: whether you think you can or cannot, you're right. And this is it.
Exactly, because I just wanted to jump in earlier already when you said that this sort of fear that keeps people from going out of the comfort zone or taking new paths starts already in the process of creating the vision before, or visualization, let's say. So it means you have to fear already when you talk to yourself, and you don't even go there to create your vision because you immediately shut yourself off and think, nah, I cannot do that. I can't do it.
That's the thing with the comfort zone. I mean, you feel comfortable even if that's in a way miserable, or some parts of this comfort zone are miserable, but this is still this what you know.
Yeah, I know, but you know that there are two sorts of fears, or more than that, but the one is once it's still internal, right? I mean, when you think about it and the fear comes in you, so to speak, and the second part is once you are out of this phase and you are actually doing it, and then other outside factors come and give you fear again because something might not work, or sometimes something doesn't work as you want, and then you know, so it's all about fear.
It's all about fear. That's why it's sometimes good to just see life as a game. With very unclear rules.
Exactly. I mean, like, if one looks at this past examples of these great musicians, it's always about adaptation, innovation. I mean, words that appear all the time. But it's in a way true. It's you have to build your own platform in a way and leverage the technology that's around you and such things. And these bigger pictures are often hidden to musicians.
And not being passive. This is another thing.
Yeah, absolutely. No, risk-taking. Absolutely.
Because I think when musicians start very early, then they are sort of under this umbrella, protective umbrella, or at first it might seem like it's a protective umbrella, even if it's not. And then you get cozy. Yeah.
And sometimes one cannot be discouraged in any way, of course. One has to try and try and try again, because if one has the vision and if one
believes in it
and knows for oneself that it's true, then one can be strong in sometimes taking seemingly very, very risky paths. Because some people would say, what the hell, why is he doing this or that? But
actually, like in your case. So.
But only the person that really, I did it from the start, because I had many opportunities even that I did not take because they didn't align with the vision I had. Although at the time the external circumstance of mine would say you should have taken that opportunity.
Yeah.
Everybody would.
Yeah.
But I knew it wasn't the right thing, so I didn't take the opportunity. And it then even seemed at times that it was the wrong decision. Only after years it turned out that it was the right decision.
So what was that gut feeling?
I have no idea. It's this is what I mean. I don't know what it was exactly. Definitely gut feeling, but I don't know what caused it. Right? I don't know if it was just stupidity, or if it was no. I mean, I'm joking, but because I've really felt it.
Well, I think there are this kind of if you really listen to yourself, or if one really listens to oneself, to one's inner voice, and you don't try to manipulate it with your reason or some.
This is hard though.
This is very hard.
Yeah, because what was hard for me always was to shut off the conscious brain, in that sense that if you because we don't know where the gut feeling is really coming from, right? Some people say the whatever, the summary of everything you have learned, or all your subconscious things, and but then there's always the active mind who talks to oneself and like, really? You want that? Come on.
Crazy.
And this is difficult, and when to trust it and when not, because sometimes it's of course important to have that kind of security voice that says you no, don't do that. Therefore I say I don't know why. I know it was gut feeling, but I don't know exactly what caused it.
Of course, I think it depends on the character, because all of us have a different character here.
Yep.
But there are a lot of people who believe that they are victims of their own destiny, while in reality they are the co-creators of it. But we like to leave our future to some kind of external forces, external factors.
Because they need somebody to blame.
And yes, correct, it's impossible to control everything. I think everybody will agree on this.
Of course.
Some things just happen, right? But there are a lot of things that we can control and influence, and it basically depends on our attitude. Also, our attitude towards more complex situations.
Yes, it's impossible to do everything on one's own. One needs the right kind of partners, the right circumstances in order to do this what one wants. But what one can influence on one's own is exactly this personal reality. Is this that you know your vision, you can see yourself, and sometimes it's really only a feeling of where in the food chain or wherever, or in this universe, where you see yourself, and you will not tolerate any less than that.
And you have to fix your mind on something.
Yes, and this of course has to be based on external input as everything. So observation, seeing what's the status quo of things, where it went from the past, where it likely will go in the future, and where your place in all of that is. And if you have that kind of clear point that you are aiming for, then you're growing some balls.
That's right. But I think you need some optimism, because this is this pessimistic approach. I will never succeed in this or that, or it's too late for me. This is what makes people incapable of succeeding or going forward or creating opportunities. It's like actually Winston Churchill said. I'm having a quoting day today. But that's actually, he was right. The pessimist sees difficulty in every opportunity, and the optimist sees opportunity in every difficulty.
Yeah, and there's loads of opportunity in difficulty, by the way.
Yeah.
The biggest opportunity is in difficulty. If you look at success stories...
if you step outside your comfort zone, this is, again, we are coming back to the same thing.
Yes, but most of the huge success stories are built on really tough times, or on very poor countries where they went in early and did some business or whatever, or it's always out of the problems, out of the wars, people make so much money. It's terrible, because sometimes even I don't even want to go there. what's the reason behind wars, but definitely out of desperation comes loads of
well, these people
opportunity.
definitely use these opportunities that were coming with miserable events of history or situations.
Yeah. So yes, the most important thing is just initiative, passion, and that these are very, very dangerously empty phrase words, which I don't mean empty at all. But it's every skill. So musicians are very skilled most of the time. In order to have success, you need
and
to be
disciplined as well, because they need to be really.
Exactly.
So they have
but discipline
the
usually have it, right?
This is why I say
exactly.
So
but
the
then,
potential is there.
Exactly. But then you need to be super perseverant, passionate, and take their own initiative. Get out of the comfort zone. Take paths that are not taken before. But before you do all that, you have to make your vision clear.
So in other words, take a piece of paper and write it down.
Yeah, craft your life.
Yeah.
I mean, only this way you can shape your legacy. And I think everybody can do this. Everybody can do this.
Yeah.
And
in a way, it's liberating as well, because you start to feel, after some time, you start to feel that actually you can influence your life.
Absolutely.
Really.
Absolutely. And
it's really not about the managers, the promoters, whoever runs the business or decides you would think about your life. It's you.
Absolutely.
You can really do that.
Absolutely. And the common denominator is definitely embrace the unknown. Embrace this, what you don't know.
But what you want to experience, actually.
I know.
Intriguing.
Yes, absolutely. Because we are talking,
yes.
Once you have your vision, once you have your place that you want to be, then do this where there's no data. And make your data. I mean,
all the greatest things are based on that, basically, on using opportunities.
And also don't forget, I mean, I had to look it up before we started recording because I didn't know if it was 5 or 6, but they say there's only 6 people,
maximum 6 people,
maximum 6, as they call it, degrees of separation away from any person on Earth. So meaning you just need to go through 6 connections in order to get to anybody you want to get to. And if one visualizes this, that 6 is not that much.
Yeah, it's about here rather opening the door to your opportunities or chances.
Because usually you need people, right?
People
you need organizations, you need people. But you need to know to whom to go to, and that's the vision part, right? But once you have that, the way is not that long. That's my point. And this is an optimistic thought, because it's not, everybody knows 6 people.
Yeah, and these 6 people know another 6 people that bring you to another 6 people, and so on and so on. So creating connections. Thinkers, authors, artists, and scientists have always been inspired by the subject of opportunities. This inspiration has not only led them to create innovative works and explore new ideas, but also to leave behind many condensed truths in the form of quotes. Don't wait for the right opportunity, create it. If opportunity doesn't knock, build a door. Success is where preparation and opportunity meet, and so on. But perhaps one of the most motivating and telling ones is, nothing is more expensive than a missed opportunity.